Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. In The Royalist, Tom Sykes asks, are people really so gullible they believe the PR spin that future King William and Queen Kate won't end up in a castle? Sykes writes, I strongly suspect that when Charles dies or abdicates, that's a whole other post for another day, they will indeed move to Windsor Castle. William and Kate have portrayed their decision to live in the relatively modest 8-bedroom manor house as opposed to a palace in terms of their own mental health needs, as well as being portrayed as a logistical decision about schools and commutes. It may well be that for them, but for the Crown, the decision is a hugely symbolic rupture with the past. I completely respect that nobody in their right mind would wish to live in the goldfish bowl of Buckingham Palace. The late Queen Elizabeth II loathed the place, but was basically pressured by Churchill to move in. She spent her last few years at Windsor Castle. To many, the palace is being preserved as an empty stage set, a ceremonial museum shorn of life. That the state is spending hundreds of millions on its upkeep while Britons endure a cost of living crisis only sharpens the charge of waste. Biographer Robert Lacey tells The Telegraph, I don't think Buckingham Palace was ever loved. If you read what kings have said in their diaries, it was always seen as an office. I think, actually, as an office, it has been very successful. As a ceremonial figurehead for the royal family, as the place that visitors identify with, it's been a great success. People forget that at the beginning of the late Queen's reign, no one went into Buckingham Palace. Elizabeth also compared it to camping in a museum. Former royal butler Grant Harold, who spent 7 years working at Highgrove between 2004 and 2011, is lifting the curtain on royal life in his new memoir, The Royal Butler, My Remarkable Life of Royal Service, out August 28th. Harold, who began as a young under-butler and rose to serve the future king and queen, offers a rare behind-the-scenes look at day-to-day life inside the royal households, with anecdotes ranging from heartfelt to downright cheeky. One of Harold's earliest moments involves a surprise water balloon ambush from a then 19-year-old Prince Harry, who was home on his gap year. As Harold tried to escape through a window, Harry burst through the door, laughing, and said, Sorry, I'm just being a bit silly. That spontaneous prank led to an unexpected friendship. Harry later invited Harold to join him for a takeaway to keep him company. Harold also disputes Prince Harry's claim in Spare that he and Prince William begged their father not to marry Camilla. Harold recalls seeing a very different dynamic. He says the brothers not only attended the wedding, but enthusiastically joined in decorating their father's car with a just-married sign, and chased after it like giddy well-wishers. The four of them got on so well. I saw them having dinners, drinks, going to parties together, Harold says, casting doubt on Harry's later portrayal of discord. As for King Charles himself, Harold remembers him as a very gentle character, calm and hard-working. He didn't once raise his voice, Harold notes, even under pressure, though Charles once mused about potentially ruling under a different name. I could be Charles, but I could also be George VII. Harold, like many, was surprised when Charles chose to reign as Charles III. And then there's Prince Philip, always known for his unfiltered remarks. Harold recalls a memorable moment just after Harry and Meghan's 2018 wedding, following Bishop Michael Curry's famously exuberant sermon. As the family exited St. George Chapel, Prince Philip turned to the Queen and quipped, Thank Gaff, that's over. Harold also offered a glimpse into the once close friendship between Prince Harry and Kate Middleton. While William was away, Harry and Kate often spent time together, going shopping, visiting pubs, and sharing a sibling-like camaraderie. I think when people say, oh, he was left out, he really wasn't. In a deeply personal gesture, Prince Harry quietly paid tribute to his grandfather Philip on the 80th anniversary of VJ Day. His handwritten letter, accompanied by a wreath, was placed at the Burma Star Memorial at the National Memorial Arboretum, just hours after his father, King Charles and Queen Camilla, led the official commemorations at the same site. The letter, bearing Prince Harry's royal crest, was addressed to the Forgotten Army and recognised the courage and sacrifice of the British troops who fought in the Far East during the Second World War. Harry, who himself served in the military for a decade, acknowledged both their bravery and the legacy left by veterans like his grandfather, Prince Philip, who served aboard HMS Whelp in the Pacific. For me, this anniversary carried an added layer of meaning. Harry wrote, My late grandfather, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, served in the Pacific Campaign. He spoke with quiet humility about those years, but I know how deeply he respected all who stood beside him in that theatre of war. Your story is part of our shared heritage, and it must never be forgotten. In what some interpret as a thoughtful olive branch, Harry reportedly instructed a close friend to place the tribute only after King Charles and Queen Camilla had departed, deliberately stepping back to ensure his tribute did not draw attention away from the official ceremony. As with all things Harry, this did not go without controversy. A friend of the royal family told the Mail's Richard Eden, "What hypocrisy! Harry hurt his grandfather deeply during the final year of his life." More Palace in just a moment. Sometimes stories bubble up from less mainstream sources before the British tabloids decide to run with them. Radar Online shares that Charles is said to have become increasingly frail and leaning on whiskey to manage pain. One insider claimed his health has deteriorated significantly in recent months. The walking stick is more than a traditional accessory for a royal portrait. It's become a necessity. The king is facing a tough, losing battle with his illness, and he turns to whiskey to manage the discomfort. Other accounts paint a more measured picture. Recent portraits taken at Sandringham, shared on the estate's official Instagram account, show him walking through the topiary garden with a cane, something not uncommon for someone of his years and often a simple precaution against falls. Another rumour has the family upset at Camilla. According to Radar Online, Camilla recently spent time on a luxury yacht with her daughter Laura Lopes and her grandchildren, rather than remaining with the king at Balmoral. The yacht is said to belong to a prominent Conservative Party donor, raising further questions given the monarch's duty to remain politically neutral. An insider claimed Camilla's trip has upset the whole royal family, especially the Princess Royal and the Prince of Wales. Princess Anne and Prince William are unhappy about Camilla's solo jaunt, but William is also worried about the emotional toll on his father. The source added that the king's one wish was for Camilla to be at his side while he copes with the day-to-day pressures of treatment. We'll point out that the idea of William being upset about someone vacationing on a super yacht is kind of funny. Former Minister Norman Baker also weighed in, telling the Mirror, "Members of the royal family really ought to consider the public perception of such episodes, whether they are on holiday or official business. They are representing the country at all times, and let's be honest, it's not as if they are short of cash. This is not a good look for Camilla. Wait until Minister Baker finds out what William and Kate were up to." Meanwhile, a new crisis for King Charles, as an official inquiry has branded the Sandringham Church choir an unholy din. A leaked 16-page report commissioned by the Reverend Canon Paul Williams, chaplain at St. Mary Magdalene Church, where the royal family attends Christmas services, concluded the singers had no knowledge of music or singing technique and were producing little more than a racket. The report, written by cathedral musician Tansy Kettlestein, urged the group to aspire to higher standards and embrace dynamic risk-taking. Parishioners, however, dismissed the jargon-heavy critique and have rallied behind the church's long-serving director of music, Dr. Claire Stewart, who is currently on sick leave after lodging her own 28-page grievance. "This is a Norfolk village church, not Westminster Abbey," one parishioner told The Sun. Canon Williams, who took up his post in 2023, is said to be pushing for wholesale modernisation of the choir, including plans as improbable as launching a social media account. His reforms have divided the community, with numbers at services falling and the Bishop of Norwich inundated with letters. The king himself is now drawn into the affair, reportedly staying behind after recent services to speak with parishioners in an effort to broker peace. Unlike his late mother, who was said to approach music with polite bafflement, Charles has long held a deep affection for it, describing it as a necessity, not a luxury. To have his own parish choir accused of such discord will be particularly painful. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please hit that follow button on Spotify and Apple. And if you'd like to find us on social media now, we're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Palace Intrigue in Facebook pages or hit the links in our show notes and join the community we're trying to build there. We really appreciate it from behind the scenes here at Caloroga Shark Media. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.